I love Mondays, and this is Testimonial Week. The last week in every month, we're going to do testimonials as much and as often as we can. Testimonial Week all week, so you're going to want to tell your friends about this show. You can log in from your Android. Did you know that? You can log in from your iPhone. You can log in from your computer, and if you're lucky enough to be listening to us live, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your time. We are doing everything that we can to lift people up into the knowledge of health recovery through medical nutrition. And why? Because conventional medical treatment is the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. Conventional medical treatment is the leading cause of death in the United States. Conventional medical treatment has completely failed to offer us any answers whatsoever for cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's, obesity, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia, attention deficit disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety and panic attacks, restless legs, and heartburn, to name a few. The medical philosophy that MDs are trained in is referred to as reductionism. Reductionism argues that the human body is a machine made of parts. And when that machine is broken, you have to take it apart into its smallest piece and deliver a medicine for each piece. And the medicines that are delivered aren't curative. The medicines are managerial. So, you go to an MD. You're lucky if you spend 2 minutes with the doctor. You're lucky if you even see the doctor at all. You see a nurse. They take your blood pressure and then your pulse, and then they do a urinalysis and a stool analysis and an X-ray and an ultrasound and a CT and an MRI and blood work and then more blood work and then more blood work. They run up the bill in order to attempt to find the piece of the body that's malfunctioning. And then what are they going to do? They're going to walk in and throw a synthetic pharmaceutical drug at that piece in an attempt to override the workings of the human body. The MDs are trained to believe that the human body is not smart enough to fix itself. They are completely blind to the built-in, God-given ability of the human body to fix itself. And this is why their therapeutics are destined to fail. This is why they've failed to come up with any remarkable treatment for cancer. This is why they've failed completely with heart disease. This is why they've failed completely with all chronic disease. Because they have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. They have no earthly idea what causes type 2 diabetes or any chronic illness. They have no earthly idea what causes high blood pressure or athlete's heart or congestive heart failure or cardiomyopathy, better known as athlete's heart. They're clueless about it. Completely, 100% and utterly clueless about it. Instead, they charge you massive amounts of money walking around in high-tech facilities that make you feel intimidated from the time you walk through the door. And I swear to God, someone could strap a stethoscope around their neck, put a white coat on, and tell you to jump off the roof of the hospital to fix your type 2 diabetes, and most people would do it. Because we have become enculturated to trust that the MD knows what's best for us. But the MD only knows what they have been trained in. And what they have been trained in is only a small aspect, a small percentage of medical science. But they have sold their small piece of the pie to you as the whole pie. And you've taken a big bite out of it. Such a big bite that you're sick. The big bite of the pie of medical treatment that you've taken has made you sick. But rather than blame themselves for their egregious treatment failures, rather than look to themselves to see what's the problem, what's wrong, to try to adapt and change and maybe look at, illness from a different point of view. Oh no, rather than do that, what do? They blame you. The reason that you're obese is because you're lazy. The reason that you have type 2 diabetes is you got the bad gene. The reason that you have cancer and that it's so hard to treat is because it's genetic. Well, guess what? It's not. These conditions are not. They do not have their roots in genes. Well, you can make the argument that everything's genetic because everything goes back to genes and chromosomes. Everything does. Well, everything does. But, you don't have breast cancer because you have a breast. You don't have breast cancer because you got the BRCA gene. The BRCA gene isn't even a gene. You heard it here first. I am going to say that it is my belief that the BRCA gene, which medical doctors are telling you is the cause of your breast cancer, is not even a gene. I do not believe it to be a gene. I believe it to be an area of chromosomal damage. I believe it to be chromosomal damage on a particular area of the chromosome, which MDs misinterpret as a genetic region. Geneticists, cutting-edge, modern-day, advanced geneticists are getting away from the term gene. It's an old-fashioned concept. They're not even referring to it anymore. They're talking about gene regions. Because a little area on a chromosome over here and a little area on a chromosome over here, and these two chromosomes are not even attached to each other, are going to affect each other. Nobody knows why. It's called spooky action at a distance. At least that's what I call it, which is in reference to an old term that Einstein coined, spooky action at a distance, to describe what happens to subatomic particles, which is just crazy. I'm telling you, folks, the stuff that we think that we know about how the body works is a teeny-weeny fraction of really what's going on inside the body. But we don't have to worry about doing all of this scientific investigation. We don't have to worry about, solving complex biochemical equations and trying to figure out all of the trillions of enzymatic actions that are happening in the body every day. We don't have to do that. All that we have to do is lean back on our fundamental belief that the human body knows what's best. In most circumstances, the human body knows how to fix itself. The only thing that it lacks in its ability to attempt to try and fix itself is raw materials. It doesn't have them. If you don't have the raw materials that your immune system needs to be strong, guess what? Your immune system gets weak and you get an infection. If your circulatory system doesn't have the raw materials necessary in order to keep your blood pressure normal, guess what? You get high blood pressure. If your heart doesn't have the raw materials necessary to maintain its structural integrity, guess what? It starts to get large. The valves start to get funky. You'll get calcium deposits. You'll get cholesterol deposits. Why? Because you have cholesterol? No. Because you have calcium? No. Because your body's out of balance. It's run out of the stuff that it needs to maintain its health, and you are unwittingly eating food that's gumming up the works. We need to stop it. We need to snap out of it. We need to take our health back. And with us right now, we are honored to have Mark Denning, who's an emergency medical technician and a 12-year veteran of the Armed Forces, to give us a little story of his experience with medical nutrition. Mr. Denning, are you there?
I'm here, dude.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. Tell us a little bit about your health history. We have 3.5 minutes left. The ball's yours.
Well, what is it, about 5 years ago, was type 2 diabetes, hypertension, multiple blood clots, obesity, and that was a big challenge for me.
How many pounds overweight were you?
At least 100.
And how many blood clots did you have?
Total?
Yeah.
13.
13 blood clots. And how much Coumadin did they have you on?
12 milligrams a day.
12 milligrams a day. Isn't that illegal?
Yeah, unless you want to get rid of a mouse.
Yeah, well, it's a rat. It's rat poison. But what's the normal dose of? And you're an EMT guy, right? You're one of the guys in the back of the ambulance keeping people alive while they're transported to the hospital, right? That's your job.
Well, actually, I'm a nurse, but I've been one for about 25 years, but I'm like a flight nurse on the ground, so yeah, I'm still in the ambulance.
Yeah, okay, good. And so you know a lot about Coumadin. What's the average dose of Coumadin that most people are on?
About 3 milligrams per day.
And you were on 12.
Right.
All right, 12 milligrams of Coumadin, which I'm pretty sure, you know, the doctors that had you on that should be sued for malpractice. That's a whole another question. But you had all these blood clots. You're on 12 milligrams of Coumadin. You have type 2 diabetes. You're at least 100 pounds overweight. What happened?
A revelation. I was watching what I was eating. Like Dr. Glidden said, I served in the military for about 15 years, and I was in great shape then. 2 miles in 14 minutes, things like that, at 200 pounds. And, you know, I kind of let myself go, I guess, caring about other people more than myself. So just started eating better. You know, diabetes was probably the final straw. Because now I can't give them that. I almost lost my lower leg, and you know, there's just a whole lot coming down the pipe. And I got some good advice from a naturopath. How to transition off my meds, and within about 4 or 5 months I was off all of them but Coumadin. And then, you know, as fate would have it, met Dr. Glidden and Dr. Wallach, and you know, got to the bottom of it. And then, you know, definitely the gluten-free sealed the hypertension thing. My blood pressure was borderline. Within 3 days it was gone. And then, you know, I've been just I don't have to eat as much food anymore. I'm still down about 95 pounds from what I lost, and it's not hard to keep it off if you treat your body the right way.
And what happened to the type 2 diabetes? Did the type 2 diabetes, do you still have type 2 diabetes?
4 months later, that was toast.
4 months later, the type 2 diabetes is gone. Lost 100 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, we're continuing with this story on the other side of the break. Don't even think about touching that dial. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now, the show where we pull back the curtain on the medical profession, showing you where they fail, where they succeed, although we don't talk about that enough because there's not really too much to talk about there. And we also give you advice, show you the light of medical nutrition, because guess what? There do exist science-based, clinically verified alternatives to drugs and surgery. And like the fella said, you don't know what you don't know. Your MD doesn't know this. Your MD has no training, no clinical experience, no appreciation, no respect for medical nutrition. All your MD knows is drugs and surgery, drugs and surgery, drugs and surgery all the time. Sometimes drugs and surgery will help you and save your life, but it's a very small percentage of the time. And according to Harvard University, 51% of emergency room medical doctors are addicted to street drugs, prescription drugs, or alcohol. That's Harvard University that says that. Which means the next time you get transported to the ER, have your doctor drug tested before you let him near you with a scalpel. Now, we have with us one of those guys who transports you to the emergency room. His name is Mark. He's a registered nurse. He's a 15-year veteran of the armed forces. He's recovered from type 2 diabetes. He's lost 90 pounds. He's stopped taking Coumadin to the tune of 12 milligrams a day, completely eliminated multiple blood clots in his legs, and high blood pressure. Have I left anything out, Mark?
Hey, oh yeah, how about that time I had skin cancer?
Yeah, how about that time you had skin cancer?
2 people told me to get it cut off, and I said, nah, I'll just increase my antioxidants, and within, I think it was a month, it was gone.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's just amazing what the human body will do when you give it the nutrients it needs. So what did you do specifically for this? You changed your diet up a little, and you started nutritional supplements. Was there anything else?
I exercise very little. I exercise some. Just, you know, once you got good advice, and, you know, you were the great source of that, of course, once getting the right advice from, you know, like a naturopath like Dr. Glidden or Dr. Wallach, you know, they can teach you anything's possible. You know, we've seen so many things reversed in the last 2.5 years that I've known Dr. Glidden. He is now my doctor. I told my other doctor I had an eye problem. He said, "What's the problem?" I said, "I can't see." He said, "What do you mean you can't see?" I said, "I can't see you." He said, "What do you mean?" He walked in here. I said, "No, I can't see you anymore." And I gave him the book that I used to help recover my type 2 diabetes, and he would not give it back.
Yeah. It's really something. You know, the whole thing here, ladies and gentlemen, the take-home message here is that you have no idea of the power of medical nutrition to support and promote healthy hearts, healthy blood sugar, healthy skin, healthy circulatory system, healthy livers, healthy kidneys, you name it, we have it dialed in. And Mark is a living testimony to the efficacy and the unheralded successes of medical nutrition. I mean, 90 pounds, how long did it take you to lose that much weight?
March to November in 1 year.
And have you found any of that weight again? Did any of it come back, or are you still cruising at 90 pounds lighter?
I'm still about right there. It fluctuated a little bit over the winter, but, you know, all you got to do is listen to Dr. Glidden and get the good food, bad food list. If you're diabetic, kiss red meat goodbye for a little while. Kiss white rice for a little while, goodbye for a little while. And, you know, the weight just fell off. And I wasn't tired and stuff like that. You know, of course, when I was on the medications, that didn't help. I was on a medicine called Lopid, which was lowering my triglycerides to nothing. So when I would exercise, I would have no energy. And I learned through the naturopath that triglycerides are important. So I said, we got to get rid of this one.
Now, yeah, I know. It's really crazy, isn't it? How frustrating is it for you in the back of the ambulance, seeing all of these sick and injured people all of the time, knowing what you now know about medical nutrition? And we have a minute left.
It just blows my mind to watch people suffer so much. And, you know, every time I take somebody somewhere, I think about how naturally I could help some people turn around. And Dr. Glidden Dr. Waggett taught me so much that, you know, I've shared this with some hundreds of people. It's just, you know, it is very disheartening to watch this and to learn the facts that where MD medicine's gone in the last 100 years for chronic illness. You know, Rockefeller kept his homeopath till the day he died, and he was one of the big promoters of MD medical schools. You know,
it's crazy, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. This is. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fire Your MD Now. And check us out online 24/7. And guess what the name of the website is? You guessed it. FireYourMDNow.com. Lots of useful, free information there. There's information on the front page of Fire Your MD Now that can save lives. If you just stopped eating fried food, you would add 5 to 10 years to your life. Just stop eating fried food, you add 5 to 10 years to your life, because fried food contains a nasty chemical called acrylamide, which is pro-inflammatory and carcinogenic. It's bad, 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 really bad. You don't even have to exercise, and I recommend no exercise, by the way, because the average couch potato lives 5 to 10 years longer than people who exercise regularly. There's never been a professional athlete who lives to be over 100 years old, and if exercise is so great for us, why aren't all athletes old? Why aren't all athletes the longest-lived people in the world? Why aren't they? They're paid to exercise, for goodness sake. They've got all the stuff they want. They've got all the Gatorade they can drink. They've got all the money, all the support. They've got the best doctors in the world. You know, or the most expensive doctors in the world. They're not the best doctors, the most expensive doctors in the world. Why don't they live to be over 100 years old? Because exercise depletes your nutrients. The human body, in order to function properly, needs 91 essential nutrients. 91. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids for a grand total of 91. Now, thinking that we can gather all 91 essential nutrients from the food that we eat is a fool's errand, and it's, quite frankly, to be unpolitically correct, it's just wrong. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. 2 plus 2 equals 4. It is not possible to secure all of the nutrients that your body needs to stay healthy from food. You cannot do it. As a matter of fact, most of the foods that you eat have net negative impacts and effects on your body. The foods that you think are healthy are not. Whole wheat is one of the worst foods anybody can eat. Betty Crocker was not a doctor. And by the way, the Egyptians who started this whole grain thing, remember, the 7-year famine? And Jacob with the Technicolor Dreamcoat, remember that guy? He had the dream that there was going to be a famine, and so he told Pharaoh, and Pharaoh grew all this wheat, and then they stored it in big silos, and then when the famine actually came, everybody had food, right? Well, grain is good to store because you can store it for long periods of time without refrigeration, right? All you have to do is keep the mice away from it, keep it from getting wet. It's easy to do in the desert. Grain will last a long time, and you can make a million different things from grain, right? You can make biscuits and cookies and crackers and bread, and you can thicken soups and stews, and you can do all kinds of things with grain. But the Egyptians only used the grain to store for emergency rations. They weren't eating that stuff every day. It wasn't a normal staple in their diet. They used it for emergency purposes only, and then they went back to eating the way that they used to eat. And, oh, by the way, the average age of death way back in the day of the Pharaoh, 27 years. Wheat, barley, rye, and oats are 4 of the worst foods anybody can eat. And the only reason that you eat them is because your doctor told you to eat them. The only reason your doctor told you to eat them was because some nutritionist working for Betty Crocker told them it was a good thing and nobody questioned it. This is like that telephone game where somebody starts a message, at a party, and by the time it gets to the 20th person in the line, it's completely changed. Well, this is it. We do not question authority in this country, and we need to. We do not question anything. We just accept as gospel anything that anybody with a scientific degree tells us, and it is to our detriment all of the time. Now, go to fireyourmdnow.com. fireyourmdnow.com, and on the front page there's a little link. It's called Against the Grain. And it's a little 16-minute video I put together. It walks you right through why wheat, barley, rye, and oats are bad foods. Knowledge is power. And if this is a bitter pill to swallow, if you think that Dr. Glidden's just off his rocker and that he's finally cracked, and oh my God, the naturopath is telling me not to eat whole grains, what is going on? Take the Dr. Glidden challenge. Here's what I want you to do. For 14 days in a row, 2 weeks, be 100% wheat, barley, rye, and oats free. I don't even want you to look at it. Don't even look at a crouton. I don't even want you to be downwind if they're baking bread. Do not eat wheat, barley, rye, or oats for 14 days. And then, on day 15, all I want you to eat is wheat, barley, rye, and oats. I want you to have pancakes for breakfast. I want you to have donuts. I want you to have cookies and crackers and pasta and pizza and bread. I want you to go for it on day 15 with wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And if you make it past the pancakes at breakfast without having some type of negative reaction, your energy goes in the can, you feel really sleepy, one of your aches and pains flares up, you get a headache, you just feel funky, you get a big brain fog. If something flares up after the breakfast meal of pancakes or oatmeal or whatever other gluten source you want to eat, if that doesn't happen, I'll eat my hat. And it will happen. It's just like if you're in a smoky restaurant for too long, you don't smell the smoke anymore. You habituate to it. You get used to it. Well, guess what? You have gotten used to the net negative effects that wheat, barley, rye, and oats have on your body, and you don't even know it anymore. You have no perspective on it. So take the Dr. Glidden challenge. Stop wheat, barley, rye, and oats for 14 days, and then on day 15, go for it. And when you feel like crap after that stack of pancakes in the morning, you'll know that those foods are evil, bad, shouldn't even look at them. My recommendation is everybody in the country, in the world, quite frankly, needs to be gluten-free yesterday. Now, I believe we have Suzanne on the line. Suzanne, are you calling from South Korea?
Yes, that's right.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for calling. How can we help you?
Well, I'm 39 years old. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with severe osteoporosis, the bones of an 80-year-old woman. That's all my bones. So I changed my diet, and 2 years ago, I started on the Tangy Tangerine, OsteoFX, and a couple other supplements. I called into Dr. Wallach's show, and so he got me started. And I take the probiotics, digestive enzymes. I eat no barley, rye, or oats, no gluten. I eat only vegetables, fruit, some meat, some fish, anyway. And I take more supplements than the longevity. I take mineral powder, I take lecithin, I take pantothenic acid, B-complex, liquid B12, zinc, copper. I take lots of stuff.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened?
Well, that's the thing. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I had another bone scan, and there's absolutely no change. And I know that Dr. Wallach's products are awesome. I know they are, and I believe I can rebuild my bones. But something else is wrong, obviously. I'm lacking something else. There's no change, and I know I can rebuild my bones. I just don't know how.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Thanks for calling. Stick on the line. Don't go anywhere. We have 5 minutes left here, so I'm going to walk you right through this. You know, all things being equal, perspective is important, and the only time that medical nutrition doesn't work is either if you're not taking enough or you're not absorbing what you're taking. So you've been wheat, barley, rye, and oats free. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Good girl. And how long have you been wheat, barley, rye, and oats free?
Maybe 3 years.
All right, 3 years. You've been completely gluten-free for 3 years.
I mean, I slip up like twice a year, but...
Yeah, like Thanksgiving and Christmas or maybe your birthday. All right, that's okay.
Right.
And how long ago was the first bone scan? How many years?
6 years ago.
All right, 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, you had and how old were you 6 years ago? 33 years old?
Right.
All right, so at 33 years old, you had the osteoporosis of what, an 80-year-old? I mean, it was bad, right?
Yeah, and it still is.
Okay, but look, here's the deal. Osteoporosis always gets worse. The process by which your bones start to degenerate doesn't, your bones don't degenerate halfway and then they stop. The bones, once that snowball starts rolling down a hill, for people that don't intervene with medical nutrition, it always rolls to the bottom of the hill, and then they die. It's a progressive illness that gets worse with time. Now, if it was happening to you, for goodness sake, at 36 years old, which is crazy when you think about it, and it hasn't gotten any worse, that's a fantastic sign. That means you have, well, it is, because it means that you have halted the disease process. You have. Which is good.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, now we need to reverse it. We need to stay on the horse, and we need to reverse it. So, the game is afoot, as Sherlock Holmes would say. There has to be something that you're doing that's interfering with this, and or we need to switch up, modify, and adjust your intake of the stuff a little bit. So let's talk about that right now. Because the only time this doesn't work is if you're not taking the right stuff, you're not absorbing what you're taking.
Also, I have amenorrhea. I haven't had a period in like 7 years. So that's another thing. Okay.
So are you a vegetarian or a vegan?
No, I mean, I love eggs. I eat eggs every day. I eat meat.
Okay,
occasionally.
All right, you eat eggs and butter and whole milk and whole cheese, and you use salt on your food.
I love salt. I put it on everything.
Okay, very good. And you use eggs and butter, not margarine, right?
I use coconut oil. I make everything in coconut oil.
Okay, well, there's one of the culprits. Oil, yeah, crazy, right? You don't know what you don't know. From our point of view, we have a policy or zero tolerance for any oil that's in a bottle. And the reason for that is oil will oxidize. You know, anything oxidizes. You know, you drink half a bottle of wine on Monday night and you go to finish it off Tuesday night and it's turned to vinegar, right? That's oxidation. You cut an apple in half, leave it on the tabletop, it starts to turn brown. That's oxidation. Oxidation is just, you know, it's the second law of thermodynamics. Everything decays. Everything oxidizes. And oil oxidizes. You know, coconut oil oxidizes the slowest of all the oils, but it still oxidizes. And when you heat coconut oil or any oil, the oxidation process accelerates remarkably. So when you consume something that has been oxidized, you are increasing the inflammatory effects inside the body. It's kind of like, it's a poor metaphor, but it'll work. It's kind of like pouring gasoline on a fire. So one of the things I want you to do is stop using oil. I want you to use butter and lard instead. Use butter and lard, no more oil. Now we're going to do this for 3 months as a little experiment here. Now we're up against the clock here, Suzanne. I want you to stick with me. I'm going to finish up with you on the other side of the break. We've got 5 minutes where we can talk, and I will dial in this program for you 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the Internet. Suzanne talking to us from South Korea. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is your lucky day. It's Fire Your MD Now. Check us out online. Fire Your... Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden with you here on the cutting edge of medical nutrition, talking to Suzanne all the way from South Korea. Now, Suzanne, you're a little less than 100 pounds. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. How much glucogel are you taking, and in what form? Is it the liquid glucogel or the capsules?
I'm not taking glucogel. I'm only taking the OsteoFX.
Well, there's your problem. That's the problem. Okay, let me tell you why. And look, knowledge is power. And this is I love Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach is my mentor. Dr. Wallach is my friend, and as God is my witness, Dr. Wallach has forgotten more about medical nutrition than most doctors know. And, you know, he's extremely overburdened with patients. And, you know, people mob him at the end of a lecture, and people call us 30 people waiting in the lines to talk to him on the phone. So Dr. Wallach's going to rapid-fire bullet through stuff, and, you know, he's only human. Sometimes he'll miss stuff. But let me tell you the deal here, okay? If you were to take a chicken drumstick, cut all the meat off of it, and put it in a little vinegar bottle and leave it there for a month, the acid in the vinegar would eat away at all of the bone. And the hard minerals that are in the bone, the calcium and the phosphorus and the silica, would be dissolved away, and they would exist in a little fine powder at the bottom of the bottle. But the chicken bone, the drumstick, would still look like a drumstick. But if you then took it 30 days later, took it out of the vinegar, it would be so rubbery, you could tie it into a knot. Because over 70, I forget the numbers, it's either 75 to 85% of the bone itself is not the hard minerals like calcium and phosphorus and silica. It's the sulfur molecule matrix. It's like a framework that the hard minerals are laid on top of. So when we're talking about supporting and promoting the health of a bone, we need to support both the sulfur matrix, the skeleton that the minerals cling to, and the minerals. And guess what? The sulfur matrix, the skeleton that the minerals cling to, is all glucosamine sulfate. And it's helped by selenium. So there are 2 supplements that you need to take here in order to round this out. So let me tell you what I would do if I were you in order to address this condition. Okay, this is an aggressive treatment designed to make a dramatic improvement in the health of your bones within 3 months. You're only 88 pounds. 3 months is all you're going to need in order to see results with this. Okay, so per month I would do 1 Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 1 Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 2 bottles of Cal Toddy, I would stop the OsteoFX Plus and I'd switch it out to the Cal Toddy, because the Cal Toddy has more magnesium in it. And you need more magnesium, because when you've got osteoporosis, if you have more magnesium, it helps the calcium to get laid down better and faster, right? Now, if you just had arthritis, we could stick with the OsteoFX Plus, which is a great supplement. But for osteoporosis, I lean towards the Cal Toddy, and quite frankly, I think it tastes better too. The secret sauce for all of this, to really wrap it up in a nice little bow, is two things, actually three things. Glucogel. You need the Glucogel capsules. And if you buy one bottle of the Glucogel capsules at the 240 count, now that's 240 capsules divided by 30 days, that's 8 a day. So take 9 a day, 3 with breakfast, 3 with lunch, 3 with dinner. And by the time you get to the end of, the first bottle, you'll get another one. Although I'm not sure what happens in South Korea. Do we ship stuff to South Korea? How do you get your stuff?
Yes, you do.
Okay, good. I've never talked to a patient or a client from South Korea, so I appreciate your calling. Now I've just learned something. All right, so 1 bottle of Beyond Tangy, 2 bottles of Cal Toddy, 1 bottle of Glucogel at the 240 count, 1 bottle of liquid plant minerals. 1 bottle of liquid plant minerals. You need to take that because there's not enough minerals in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine to round this out for you. And the last thing would be 2 bottles of selenium. So 1 Beyond Tangy, 2 Cal Toddy, 2 selenium, 1 liquid plant minerals, and 1 Glucogel at the 240 count. Suzanne, if you do that every month for 3 months, as God is my witness, you have to support and promote the strength of your bones. It has to work. It is as predictable as gravity. So give it a try. And why don't you give me a call back in about 4 weeks? You're only 88 pounds. You're going to feel something different inside of 4 weeks, and I want to hear all about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've wasted another perfectly good hour of your time. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. Check us out tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat station. I'll see you then.